welcome to our Winning Wednesday webinar. This is Master Coordinator Joanne Nistico.
And Terry Coakley.
We're very excited, and thank you, and welcome to all of you that are joining us this evening. It's a wonderful evening because we have a very special guest speaker who has walked or talked and done amazing things for the Shaklee field, not only through the corporate world, but also through being a business leader in the field. We're very excited about these Winning Wednesdays. To let you know, we will do them the second Wednesday of every month, and we will be bringing star speakers like Laura Evans to the forefront to help the Gen Team teams and our friends. And we do have the Sheraton organization also joining us this evening. So without further ado, because we do want to move forward with our guest speaker, let's welcome Laura Evans, Master Coordinator.
Yay!
Well, thank you, Joanne and Terry. I have to say, when Joanne and Terry first reached out to me and asked me about being on this call, I was so humbled. I mean, I have had the honor and privilege of sitting at the feet of experienced leaders like them for years, and then working alongside them on the MEC, and just 10 years that I was in Shaklee corporate, learning and listening to them, and I believe I may have listened to more than what they thought I was listening to, and it was so compelling that it compelled me to leave corporate and to want to have the incredible lifestyle that they have and that they are sharing and helping each of you have, and to think that there would be anything that I could possibly share or experience-wise help somebody else, then it was just an honor, and it was very humbling. It is humbling for me because I have such tremendous respect for who they are as people and who they are as leaders and their love and their passion for Shaklee, but as important, their belief in each one of you on this call. And they do what they do. It's not always fun to organize these calls and put these events together or travel all around the country. It's not always glamorous, not always fun. They do that because they see in you, in each one of you on this call, and I'll mention the Sherapins as well. I've had a chance to work with them too and their teams here. But these leaders do that really selflessly because they want you to have what they've been able to have, and they see that potential in you even when we may not see it in ourselves, and even when we don't quite see how it's going to ever happen, how we're going to get from where we are to where they are or where we want to be. So I just have to spend a little time to say you guys are with an amazing team of leaders who care about you deeply and want the best and the most success for you, and are there to help you get it. So I know you know that. I just want to tell you that that's always been my experience with them, whether I was serving you all on the corporate side or now alongside you here as a field leader. So yes, for those of you that are on the call, I think most of you know that I used to work in Shaklee corporate. I was introduced to Shaklee mainly through Roger wanting to hire me to be part of his executive team. I later found out that he didn't even own the company when I met him and he offered me a job to be part of his executive team. That speaks to what a visionary leader he is. He was determined he was going to own Shaklee and that it was the jewel that he had been looking for a long time, and so determined that he called himself the future owner, and he acted like he was the owner and began assembling a team. And that's a lesson that I've certainly learned from him and carried forward in my business now in Shaklee, is how I speak about myself and how I see myself in business, and as well how I don't wait for things to happen. I create things to happen towards that vision that I see for myself. So I met Roger. I said no, that I wasn't interested in coming to work for him. He didn't give up on me, just like thankfully we don't give up on people that might say no to us. And eventually it was a transformation in health that my daughter had that really persuaded me that I wanted to be part of a company that could make that kind of difference in families. So I've spent 25 years in corporate America at companies like J.Crew and Disney and some others, and I really wanted to, I really got to a point in my life where I wanted a change. And what I want to share with you is you know, why would I leave my successful career in corporate America? People always ask me that, and I want you to know it because it's really part of who I am and what's important to me and the passion that drives me to do what I'm leading my team to do and where we're headed. I call it a passion project. I have a passion project of reuniting families. And what I mean by that is that after my 25 years in corporate America, I realized many times over, it wasn't an awakening, it was a sting I felt over and over again as I missed milestones in my children's life, as I missed time with my family where I should have been there for things that were happening, good things and bad things of when they needed me. And I sacrificed that greatest blessing that had been given to me of this beautiful family, all in the pursuit of corporate America success, climbing the career ladder, and what people would come to call successful in modern society. And while I was considered successful there, for sure, I was really emotionally bankrupt. And I had missed so much with my children and with my family that I was overcome with guilt about it. But yet I felt trapped. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I finally said, enough is enough. I'm going to make it my mission that I am going to prioritize my family, and I'm going to trust in the Lord that He's going to bless that, and I'm going to figure out an exit strategy from corporate America that also works for me to be able to have the time and the freedom with my family that I wanted. And of course, I knew that was going to be in our direct selling industry. And I purposefully chose Shaklee as the company, which I'm going to talk a little bit about a second. But it really has become my mission to help parents all over be able to improve the quality of their family life. And what I mean by that is I want families to have, you know, a lot of times the only time that families get to spend with their children is on sick days, when they can't go to work because the kids can't go to school and they can't send them to a babysitter, and so they're forced to be at home with their children on sick days. And I don't want families to think of their time together as just when somebody's sick and they've got to be home and take care of them because they don't have other choice. I want them to be able to spend more play days with their children and more dinner time at home together and all of the things that I missed out on, and I want them to be able to do that being healthy and with financial security. So as such, when I look at what I see for where my business is going and why I wanted to do this, I look at it as I'm building our team, and our team is adding 1,000 families a year is what our vision and our goal is, that we're making this difference for, that we are reuniting 1,000 families a year. And in order to do that kind of volume, then I'm also looking for about 30 leaders that see themselves as wanting to do this same thing and be part of this passion project and part of this mission of reuniting families together and prioritizing the family unit in this, you know, crazy world that we live in. And I share that with you because it gives you context to some of the other things that we're going to talk about how we present the business or how I identify leaders. I very purposefully chose Shaklee. Shaklee was not my only choice, just like it's not your only choice, and just like it's not the only choice of people that we meet and talk with. I knew a lot about other companies in the industry, and I chose Shaklee based on, no question for me, all of the ways that Shaklee is stronger than those other companies. Quality of product was paramount to me. I couldn't imagine putting my name and my credibility with a company that didn't have clinical studies on their products, we weren't sure how they worked, and didn't stand behind them with a 100% guarantee. The other thing that was important to me was visionary leadership and what the future potential for growth was. And obviously, we have that in Shaklee as well. The other thing that was important to me was stability. A new company may seem to have a couple of the other things that were on my checklist, but the problem is that they don't have stability. And I've been there and done that before. I've worked really hard to build somebody else's dream, and then they decide they shut the dream down, and then I'm out. And I didn't want to do that again. I wanted to build something that would be a legacy for my family and something that my children and my grandchildren can continue on with, just the way that we see that happening in Shaklee where it doesn't happen in other companies. Of course, the integrity of the company and the competitive compensation plan were also elements for me that I studied and really wanted to be sure that compared to other choices that Shaklee was the one that I wanted to make. And so chose Shaklee, have a passion project of what I'm trying to do and where I'm headed with it. So people always ask me, how do you find new distributors and new leaders? We in the last couple of years have doubled the business that I have, and we produced about a dozen new leaders last year. In fact, I'm thrilled to say that just last month we had about 6 new leaders promote, and that's exciting to have happen. Almost everything that we had in a year happened within the last month, and that's a great trajectory of where I see this year headed. And I would say to people that I don't ever, and I think you guys can relate to this, it's not that I find somebody that is a director. It's not like I open up a door and there they are, they're standing there in their glory, they're a director, ta-da, It doesn't happen like that. What happens is the same way as we develop relationships with people that become our customers who may become distributors, is the same relationship that I develop with people that refer people to me, and they don't realize that they're building a business, but they actually are. And I always call it that what I love about what we get to do is that we get to lead with love. And when we spend our time loving on folks that are around us, not for our gain, but for their need, and that takes some real attention, because it's so easy for us to jump to, what do I want them to do, and what do I want them to buy, and what do I think they should have, and what do I think they need? And then we get so caught up in that sometimes that we're blinded and we're not really listening to what it is they're saying to us. And when we are able to love people where they're at and then listen for where they think they want to be and what they need, and not our agenda of what we need and what we want them to be or what we see, then that works better all the time. And I know that that's a principle that Dr. Shaklee always taught, and the culture that he developed here, but it sure is easy to slip back into, what's natural for us, and that's to be what we're thinking about and what we're focused on. So whether it's a contact in my group that hasn't ordered in 6 months, or whether it's a prospect, or whether it's a new distributor or a business leader that, whoever it is, I'm always asking myself, how can I show this person that I love them and that I care about them? Because I believe that for whatever reason, they are across my path for one reason or another. And if they're across my path, I don't want them to ever feel that they had a contact with me that that I didn't have an opportunity to show them how much I cared about them. And that kind of slips into one of my favorite quotes, which is the next slide here on Theodore Roosevelt's given credit for this. Some other people are giving credit for it too. It's no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's easy for us to fall into the trap of, if I only knew more about the products, or if I only knew about the compensation plan, or if they knew everything I knew about this product, and if I tell them more information about how this works and how that works, then they will decide that they'll want to do this with me. And while certainly activity is critical, and I'm not at all indicating that that's not important, because everything begins and ends with action, so that is critical. What we present to people, I have found, is less important about the information as it is about how they feel about the interaction that they had with us, and feeling that we cared about them. And we show people we care about them by asking, and by asking what's going on with them, and asking more questions and asking more questions. And that's become a part of my everyday life, my everyday business practice. It was not natural for me. So if you feel like that, if you feel like I felt, I was used to being the boss. So I was used to being the question answerer. Everybody always hit me with all the questions, and I really had to learn, and I had to learn it so much that I had to put a reminder on my wrist to remind me to ask a question. Don't tell, don't answer, don't tell, don't talk to people, ask people questions. And when they ask me a question now, I often ask them a question, because I really want to understand more of what they're thinking so that I can give them the more complete answer. If I answer too quickly, then I'm really not going to address what their real question was that they may not have initially asked. And I'm pretty sure that I hope that you can relate to what I'm talking about, and that you can say, oh yeah, I've kind of felt that way before too. So what Joanne and Terry and I talked about providing for you tonight was, I wanted to share with you like a one-page opportunity, if you will. This is not the same. It was similar to Joanne Boltinghouse, and I will give Joanne Boltinghouse tremendous credit. I mean, she is amazing, and I had an opportunity to listen to her presentation that you all have benefited from before, and 291 presentations during that time frame that she had outlined for her goal for that trip. That, I mean, kudos to her. That is outstanding and amazing. And I love the way that she explains the compensation plan, and that she's just, fearless and relentless in helping people with that. And there is certainly a time and a place for that in what I do as well, and what I do in my business. This one is a little bit different. It's not exactly the same purpose or context as what you might use that one for. For me, I'll share with you where I use this one is, I like it that it's one page, kind of like what Joanne's was. I like it that it's not a whole lot on it. And I will give credit to Charlene Fike. Presidential Master Coordinator Charlene Fike designed this and developed it, and it's one of the pieces that she uses. And how we use it is, for me, I use it similar to the way that Joanne uses it, in that I'm listening for when somebody might have, like I'm looking and I'm listening for when I have an opportunity to present this to them. And what I'm listening for is I'm listening for a need that they have, they lost their job, or they didn't get the promotion that they wanted, or they don't know how they're going to pay for their child's tuition, or they don't, they want to stay home with their children, or I'm listening for a financial need, and that could be even, I wish that I could pay off debt. Which is a big problem that families have, and that begins to own them versus them owning their quality time with their family. So I'm listening for that, but I'm also looking. I'm looking in my organization for who refers other people. And I'm always rewarding for referrals. Not everybody sees themselves as a business leader. A lot of customers really just want to be customers, but they have a sphere of influence and they refer people. And in my mind, they're a business leader, they just don't know it yet. And I'm okay with that because I love them where they're at. I will help develop that group under them. And I love it that at Shaklee we have the opportunity where we can sponsor someone, we can do the work of sponsoring someone, and we can give, the placement credit to the person that referred them. And we can work in depth like that with people that are giving us referrals. And what I love to do is be able to say to someone that I see that is referring other people, and this is not just in my personal group, this is up and down our business organization. This is what we teach and what we look for, and I'm sure what you all teach and look for. But it's an opportunity to say to someone, with just a little more effort, you could be making $1,000 or more a month. If that's ever something that you're interested in, let me know. And then I, just leave it, or I may ask them a question by that. Would you want to know more about it if I could show you that? And either they see themselves ready to have that discussion, and I'm not forcing them into business leadership. I'm living and loving them where they're at, where they see themselves. But that might be something that I see happening that is a trigger for I'm going to have this conversation with this one-pager with somebody. The other thing that I mentioned was I'm always listening. And I want to say that anytime we introduce someone to Shaklee, and let's say someone joins us as a retail customer or they join us as a customer, as a member, that is, I'm a big believer of that is not a destination, it's a doorway. Too many times we do a huge celebration, and it is something to be celebrated, having someone join our family and begin to experience the discovery of our products and what it's going to do to change and improve their lives. There's reason for celebration there. There's not a reason to stop there. Because I try to teach my team, and we talk about that, that's not your arrival destination where you unpack. That's kind of like your doorway where you keep moving forward. Because when we want to reach 1,000 people and 1,000 families, like I talked about in the beginning, that's part of our mission every year to reach 1,000 people, 1,000 new families, then we're not going to find them by ourselves. I don't know 1,000 families personally that I'm going to reach in a year. I don't even know that would be possible for me to have quality, connections with people of that magnitude. I can do it with 30 other leaders that step up and say that they want to help me or that they want to do it, and they can do it with people that they meet. And that's what I'm talking about there is that when somebody joins our family, we are excited about that and we celebrate that. It's not a destination. We haven't arrived. It's a doorway. It's a doorway of who they know and who they can put us in contact with. So I'm always listening for who they know and where this conversation can lead for the referrals that I talked about earlier. So let me get to this one-pager and sort of how we use it and what we do with it. Usually this is someone that has already begun using the products. It could also be someone that has asked us about the business, and that may be before they even begin using the products. And it doesn't matter to me where they're at. I love them where they're at. It doesn't matter to me. I don't try to force them into it, but this is kind of a go-to tool for me to explain to them a little bit about what we do. And it says, what is Shaklee? A lot of times, I'll be, honest, a lot of times I'm doing this remotely. I'm not in person with people as much. I would like to be, but I am from a distance a lot of times because I've got a large group in Canada, a large group in California, a group in the Southeast area, and in Texas. So a lot of times it's remote, or my team members, my leaders may be doing this side by side in person with someone. So it's something that we go to. So one of the things we talk about is, what is our mission? And that's what I like about the way Charlene designed this, is that it gives us like cues to remind us what we should be talking about, but it doesn't tell the story for us. So they can't read ahead, and that's something Joanne Boltinghouse had mentioned before too. For us, this is a reminder not only of what Shaklee's mission of creating healthier life, for everyone and a better life for anyone, but it's also what is our mission. Just like I shared with you at the beginning, is, what is your passion project of why you're really doing this in Shaklee, and what do you really care about, and what difference in the world do you want to make that you look back on years from now and say, maybe I was able to impact that in a positive way. People buy into why we do what we do more than they buy what it is that we're offering them. They make a purchase decision because it's somebody that they know, like, and trust. And when you can share with them, this is why I'm doing this, and each person has their own version of what Shaklee has meant for them and why that is. So when we talk about our mission there, we really try and personalize that to not only say, this is what Shaklee's mission is, and may I tell you a little bit about why I'm so passionate about this and what my mission is. And then we talk a little bit about who we are. And again, Joanne mentioned this. We're America's #1 natural nutrition company, and that's what we talk about there. And we talk about we can do that. We can be America's #1 natural nutrition company because we give a little bit of history. We were founded by Dr. Shaklee, and we do quality testing. We really don't spend a whole lot of time in details, which is why I don't have it all listed there, because we sort of customize it to the person that we're talking with and what's important to them based on the questions that we've asked them that preceded this conversation. Then we talk about the proof that, and for us, and again, it depends on that conversation with them. If they're the kind of person that is a detail-oriented person and they really care about the products and that side of it, then the proof may be more like the landmark study and the number of clinical studies we have. If they're an athlete or a fitness person, then the proof may be, I may not spend as much time talking about clinical studies. I may mention we've got clinical studies, but I may spend more time talking about Olympic athletes and understanding that they would, use our products. If they are a business-minded person and they really are looking for a business opportunity and they see this as a vehicle for them, I may spend just a second on, products with clinical studies, but then I may spend more time on the proof is that we have leadership that has been earning, we've got more millionaires created in Shaklee than any other company. We have people that have been earning check after check, month after month after month for 60 years. So what more proof do you need that this works than that we've got living proof of people I can introduce you to and you can meet that this has been a wealth builder for them. So that's why we don't fill in a lot of the details, but we've got cues of what to talk about that fits with tailored to what it is that they mentioned. And business ownership. We talk about the benefits of business ownership. And again, depending on where they're at, I may be talking about the benefits of being a business owner in terms of, me being my own boss and owning my own business and the tax benefits related to that. Or, I might also be that I'm talking because of comments that they made to me earlier and the questions that I asked them. I may be talking about business ownership in terms of Rogers, visionary leadership, and him as a business owner of Shaklee. It just depends where they're coming from. And then what's next is where I always use an opportunity to talk about where I see our future, and that we're at the intersection of all of the major growth markets, and it makes it just an incredible time to have a business like we have in a time where people are looking for what we have. So that's what that left side is for, is just to remind me of things that I want to mention to them that's related to the questions that I asked them previously. And then the right side is really a conversation very similar to what Joanne Boltinghouse shared of, where do you see yourself? And I always like to say that one of the things I love about Shaklee is we love people where they're at, and we don't force people to be distributors. Some companies, you feel kind of wrangled and tied down and forced into being a distributor. And we don't do that here. We're absolutely fine if you want to try the products, use the products, discover more about the products, and there are benefits wherever you see yourself. If you see yourself as a customer using the products, there's benefits. If you see yourself as wanting to share with other people and give referrals, there's benefits. If you see yourself wanting to build a business, there's benefits. And you know what? Anytime that changes, like if you go from, seeing yourself as a builder to maybe this month you're a sharer instead, that's okay. We still love you. Some companies have these crazy requirements that, you must be a such and such, and that's all that we care about, and that's what we talk about all the time. And if you're not a such and such every single month, then we don't notice you and we don't care about you. And I feel like, we're really equitable at Shaklee, that we want people to be where they want to be, and this is for them, not about for us, but for them. And I ask people, and I love that Charlene put this in terms of monthly budget, because we all know what our monthly bills are. Sometimes it's hard for us to grasp an annual figure, and we have to do a little math in our head. And but we all know what our monthly expenses are, and we all know what would it mean if I had $1,000 more that I could pay down on my MasterCard debt of $30,000. Or we all know that, my child's tuition is $2,000 a month, and I don't know where I'm going to get that money from. People think of their expenses and their pain in terms of monthly. So if I can help give them a solution possibly to that pain in terms of monthly, then it connects better and it resonates better with them. So I say, what on this appeals to you? What would be interesting to you? Where would you want to see yourself in this? What would be interesting? And that facilitates the conversation of, well, I would love to make, an extra $1,000 a month. Or it facilitates the conversation of, I'd love to make $5,000 a month, or wherever they see themselves. And then we can talk about what for me is kind of that next step of drawing out the compensation plan for them and how to do that. We can talk about that either in our next get-together, or we can talk about it right then and there, depending on how much time we planned and where we are with it. But it's hard to start working with someone on where they're going to go in Shaklee if they don't know where they want to go. So I really like to linger at, where do you see yourself? And when somebody says to me, well, I see myself with an extra $1,000 a month, what would it take for me to get started with that? The old me would have immediately jumped on that. Well, you buy a success pack, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then you do this, and then you do that. I mean, that's exactly what the old me would have done. That's not what the new me does, and the new me gets better results. So I'll stick with that. Then the new me says, well, I certainly will show you how to do that, and those are some good questions. Let me ask you, what are you going to do with that extra $1,000 a month? And then I let them talk about it with me. And if they say they don't know, I ask again, what would you do with $1,000 a month? And I live in that dream with them for a little while. Like if they say, well, I'd pay down some MasterCard. Wow, okay. How many months of that extra $1,000 would get you to that, pay down that? And, what if it were $2,000? How much quicker could you pay it off? And when you get it paid off, what's that going to do for you? What's that going to feel like? Like the day that you make the final payment on that, what are you going to do? Are you going to celebrate? Are you going to dance? Are you going to shout? What are you going to do? What's it going to feel like? Are you going to sleep better? I just really like for them to dream a little bit and to talk about that. So anyway, I linger there before I jump into the how-to. I linger on the what do they want and why do they want it, because at the end of the day, that's going to drive everything that they do. And I'll give you one great example and then I'll close. One great example is one of the leaders that I'm working with, one of my newest leaders within the last year. When she and I were going through this discussion, she had lost weight with Shaklee 180, and she began referring people, and she all of a sudden had about 500 in volume, but she didn't see herself as a business leader. So we had this discussion, and then she started thinking about how she could use an extra $1,000 a month, and I asked her, what would you use that for? And she said, my husband and I are from Greece, and we always go back and visit our family in Greece, and we would love to build a house in Greece. And I said, wow, tell me more about that. What would that look like? And so she described it to me, and I asked questions like, what's the temperature there? Like, is it like 80 degrees or 75 degrees and beautiful all the time? And, what's your house going to look like? Is it going to be a 2-story house or, a ranch-style house? And what's your view? Are you going to see the ocean? And those were all things that, she was able to describe for me, because this was a big dream for them. And so her money from her Shaklee business was really going to go into a savings fund for her to fund this house project. So I asked her, do you have a picture of the property of where you want to build that house? And she said yes. She said, yes, we actually purchased the property. We just haven't begun construction on it yet because we need to save some more money. And I said, would you mind sending me that picture? And so she sent me the picture. Well, I turned that picture into, every time I send her an email, I have that picture in it. And whenever I send her each month at least a thank you card or a bonus check when she was first becoming a business leader, before she was a business leader, or a congratulations note as a business leader, I made thank you cards with that picture of that spot overlooking the ocean in Greece, which is where her future home site is going to be. And do you think that she'll ever give up on her Shaklee business? I don't think she ever will. I mean, she's reminded of her reason why in a gentle way, not an oppressive way by me, but in a gentle way that I don't even have to say anything. I just send her something and it's got that picture on it. And I tell her whatever it is I'm talking about. Congratulations on your new business leader, or whatever I'm telling her about. So that's an example of how living and lingering in their reason why for just a second, just a few more seconds there, versus jumping too quickly to the how, can be really valuable for you and for them. So in closing, I just want to share with you one of my all-time favorite quotes from Maya Angelou. And that is something that's really guided me and I think has also helped me serve others in this business. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And when we're able to love people where they're at and not try to force them into what we want them to be choosing or we want them to be, then they're always going to feel better, and they're always going to refer more people, and they're always going to think of us when they have a need in their life that Shaklee might be able to meet. So that's my lessons from Laura tonight.
Well, can you hear the applause and the cheers and the roars? What a great way to end end it with Maya Angelou. That's certainly a beautiful quote, as all the information. I was on mute, we were on mute, and I'm going, wow, that was so creative. That was so great. I love it. So you couldn't hear me, Laura, but just really some outstanding material and thoughts and direction for everyone on the call. This evening I know there's another call that everybody can go to, so I think we'll pass on the questions right now, but if you have questions, please email us, and we will ask Laura virtually with any of the questions that you may have. But yes, I'm sure everyone else is as happy as we are with having this wonderful time with you. So thank you very much, and you have made us feel fabulous.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all you're doing, and you're really good.
Thank you very much. Well, I learned from the best, you guys. So thank you very much, and enjoy your evening, everyone. And yes, if there are any questions, we can certainly connect later and make sure all of those get answered. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.